Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to what feels like a holiday within a holiday, people. We just get past Christmas. We're headed up to New Year's, and right in between that, we have week one of TEC, which is honestly more exciting than Christmas was for me. I'm not gonna lie, bro. This is really hype. Uh, and of course, the start of a new season means the start of a new team, the start of a new recording series, and everything that comes in between. Now, before we get into it, I posted the draft breakdown a little while ago, a few days ago. And since then, we had received our schedules, and we are playing week one against Clash of Max, who has quite the reputation. Oh, is my audio doubled? My mic might have been doubled for a little bit just then. I'm sorry about that if it was. But we are playing against Clash of Max, who has quite the reputation on the server. Last season, he won Deblade pretty handedly. He went undefeated in Deblade and won in finals. Like, some people win in finals and some people win in finals. And he came back from, I think it was a misplay in the beginning of the game. He made a misclick or something like that, and he still came back and won. It was crazy. Everything's on his channel if you want to go watch it. So yeah, he won Deblade. If you didn't know how it works, there are three divisions: Aegis/, Deblade, and Honedge. The best two performers in Aegis/ or in every division get promoted, while the bottom two get demoted. You cannot promote higher than Aegis/, you cannot demote lower than Honedge. I believe it is the champion of a division and the first seed going into playoffs are the ones that get promoted. Everyone else stays in their seed or in their division. So Clash of Max won his promotion basically by not only winning the first seed going into playoffs, but just winning the whole thing. So he just won handedly. So he is now making his Aegis/ debut. Namdu, the other finalist from last season, excellent player, who performed well in finals as well. I know I'm like hyping Max up to like it was one-sided, but she did very well. Not to crap on that or anything. She took a loss this week against Orange. So it's not like anything, not like there's a story arc or anything, but if there were a story arc, it would be the two oldest Aegis/ coaches trying to deny the newcomers into their debut. So that's kind of what's at stake here. I also am really just nervous going into this game. Since Max's his reputation of a very good player, came from Honedge, completely wiped Honedge, went to Deblade, wiped Deblade, and now he's trying to wipe Aegis/. So, going into this game, the prep I knew needed to be pretty immaculate, and I made a team like 6 times. I think I built 6 times like in one day. Like, when I found the schedule came out, I had nothing to do that day, and I think I like rebuilt 6 times, 5 or 6 times, and I could not find something I liked. And then I called Prison, and he liked some of the stuff I had, but we ended up rebuilding quite a bit of it. And Prison, Giga Chad energy, you'll see what he does with the team, but we both had some cool ideas that we patched up. So looking at the matchup, there are a few things we're really worried about. Number one, set up Mew, set up Feeny. Both of those are extremely dangerous. If you know, last season I got completely mauled by Iron Defense Mew, so that was really big on my not happen list. We did not want to get walled and mauled by Iron Defense Mew. So looking at the matchup, we just went to cover the big things that we could instantly lose off the rip to, or potentially lose off the rip to. So those were two of the things, Mew and Feeny, both potentially being set up. Feeny was a little worse this game overall. It had a little bit of a harder time with everything, I would say, but it definitely wasn't like it was unrealistic of it coming. Mew was always going to come. Thundy we thought was coming for sure. It can carry, Thunderbolt, Sludge Wave. It has the access to Nasty Plot, Focus Blast. Even if it wanted to be Specs Volt Switch or something, Psychic for Mega Venusaur. So we were really worried about that. I was really worried about that personally, because my whole team kind of gets bodied by it, right? If it has Psychic, Focus Blast, Thunderbolt, it was set up. It's pretty much mauling most of my team. ST Tarak was also a pretty big problem. Not as big as the other 3 I mentioned before, but definitely a problem. Guzzlord was shockingly a massive problem for us defensively. We had a really hard time switching to that. Mega Beedrill is Mega Beedrill. It's either a real mon or it's not. Most of the time, it's not a real mon. It dies to rocks. Can't scarf. It's pretty rough. Sorry, getting water. But if played correctly, it is definitely a menace. So I was worried about that as well. Flareon is not real. Komala is occasionally real, but also doesn't really come. Roserade has a pretty hard time this game with Venusaur, Crobat, and Venusaur, Crobat, Hoopa, and Heatran really. So we probably figured that wasn't coming. The ones that I thought and he thought were both coming was all 8. You can see right there with Mew, Feeny, Thundy, Tarak, Beedrill, Bronzong, and these two. I can't remember names. Gligar and the other guy. So those are the ones we prepped for. On our side, the things that are really strong. Crobat's very strong, but only as kind of a revenge killer. It has a pretty hard time this game, honestly, if I say so myself. It was originally going to come as a Beedrill check, but it gets completely bodied by like anything plus Giga Impact, so we didn't want to do that. Especially because Crobat would have been pretty cornerstone in the defense, and it's not really that great this game. Hoopa Unbound is always good. As you can see with the speed tiers, Hoopa is at 80. Which means defensive everything, defensive Feeny down completely gets mauled by it and blown up, which is really, really good considering Gligar and Bronzong are the 2 switch-ins pretty much to Garchomp, which is really potent offensively this game. So Garchomp has to be really well taken care of. Clef is really good this game, defensively and offensively. It's pretty much a threat that can go both ways in this matchup. You'll see which way we took it after. Starmie is a good revenge killer. As you can see, the top 3 fastest mons on his team all get messed up pretty bad by Starmie. Psychic takes care of the top 2. Ice Beam can take care of Thunderous after a little bit of chip, which it can earn with Flip Turn being faster than all of them except for the Beedrill. What else? Venusaur is pretty much needed, mandatory for a Terrakion check. Terrakion is very strong. It gets blown up by Poison Jab, so it can't really check Beedrill, and it also can secondary check the Roserade if it does come, and possibly the Guzzlord. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the prep that we brought. So let's do that. I don't know why. What I used to do to make the transition like more smooth was I would just pause the recording, switch the tab, switch the scene, and then resume the recording and just pretend nothing happened and it was instantaneous. But it doesn't work like that anymore. So it's going to be a little ugly until I can figure out how to fix all that. So as you can see here, this is our team that we brought. No fancy graphics this week, possibly next week, but I'm a busy bee. I was going to record this all tomorrow. But tomorrow I have volleyball. Friday is Friday New Year's Eve? Friday is New Year's Eve, and then I'm busy, and then obviously busy New Year's and New Year's Eve, and I didn't want to wait that long to get this out. So, tomorrow I don't just have volleyball, I have work in volleyball. I think my mic doubled again. I'm sorry about that if it did. So we have Sukuna here, Gunk Hyperspace Fury, Ice Punch substitute. If you looked at the team, this pretty much destroys his defensive core, especially with Substitute and Life Orb together. Life Orb ensures the Gunk Shot kill, I believe, on Life Orb 72 plus attack ensures the Gunk Shot kill on max HP Feeny. Because I am assuming that he does run enough speed to outspeed the Hoopa Unbound. And offensive Feeny is not bad at all this game. If anything, it's really iffy defensively. Hyperspace Fury completely invalidates the Bronzong and potentially Mew. We have enough speed to outspeed defensive Mew if that was something he wanted to bring, like fully defensive Mew and set up. I actually think I can Oko through a +1 defense if it's like Spadef, like if he's Iron Defense Max Spadef or something like that, which I doubt he would be if he's running that. He's probably Colbur anyway, but I think it can do that. But yeah, Gunk Shot, Hyperspace Fury, Ice Punch substitute. The plan this game is to feed Hoopa. That was the plan going in. That was what we talked about. That was what we built around. This set I actually came up with by myself. This set, three of these sets, I had myself. Chomp was something we fixed together. I had something slightly different. And then Prison suggested the Clef and then the the Starmie, because I had a different Scarfer. So I am actually really happy this is my original build that worked out well, and that someone else didn't just give me a win con and win with it. So Hoopa is the first slot. Next slot is Max Fizdef Unaware Clefable. As we talked about before, all of the problems really were setup based. So finding a way to kind of mitigate that was pretty huge. Moonblast Protect Wish Teleport is really good. Teleport feeds Hoopa. Again, that's the plan. And it also, this also baits in either, well, it baits in mainly Bronzong. And Bronzong being in is really good for Hoopa, because if Bronzong stays in and opts to try break sub, but I click Hyperspace Fury, Zong is dead. And if he swaps and I sub up, then something else is getting blown up. So forcing Hoopa on Bronzong, getting that matchup is the most important part. And this obviously deteriorates him wanting to go into Bronzong. It also lets me give you my initial check for Mew and Feeny, being able to teleport out, well, mainly for Mew. Yeah, well, mainly for Mew, because the next set is Spadef Assault Vest Garchomp. The original thing I had here, let me see if I can pull it up, actually. The original set that I had, it was, sorry about that. I want to see the original set, because this is Prison Set. And Prison Set was, okay, yeah, I had Garchomp with max HP, 84 attack, 24 defense, 140 Spadef, 8 speed, Rough Skin Leftovers, Earthquake, Stealth Rock, Protect, Dragon Tail. So that was the original set, but then he was looking at the calcs, and a Nasty Plot Thunderous was just too dangerous for it not to be Assault Vest. So we ended up dropping Rocks on this team entirely and opting for for Assault Vest. And then Earthquake, Stone Edge, Dragon Tail, Outrage. Earthquake here with 48 actually, pretty much exactly. 3-8 kills Feeny with no defense investment, I believe. No defense investment and no lefties, which is optimistic, obviously. But it is, you know, you play with what you can get. The Spadef is, and the HP covers, it bulk. I don't know what you call bulk creeping. I don't know. It like ensures that something doesn't kill me 3 times or something like that. But yeah. So that is this thing. It also helps me potentially with setup Mew. So as I said, this thing is the switching into setup Mew. If it is set up, we teleport out and we go into here and we Dragon Tail, force it out and reset really fast. Because assuming it's set up, it can't really carry enough things to hit Sukuna, which is a good reason for it not to be set up. But if you're playing around removing Hoopa, potentially, you know, you just gotta be careful. Mew can set up and it's a problem, especially if he's Colbur, Bug Move or something like that. So next we have Panda. So we were looking at the calcs, or I was looking at the calcs. This is my set, and I was going on to Prison about how this is such a hot mon and why it's so good. And Prison was like, nah, this is not a real mon. And then I started showing him the numbers, and he was like, all right, it's a real mon, I guess. So this completely tanks Mega Beedrill. Rocket Helmet lets me rack up chip off of U-Turn. It also can pretty comfortably take on the Guzzlord. Potentially, I believe Banded max move does like 34%, which is insane. Beware is a crazy Pokemon. And yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Ice Punch Taunt. Taunt was the last minute addition. So originally I had Roar on here, because I didn't know this had Taunt. But I was looking at the matchup again, and I was like, what does Roar Beware do? I was like, Roar Beware does literally nothing. I don't know why I had that on. And it might be because the longer Prison and I prepped, the more it just became like, yeah, I'm going to bring Snom anyway. And then, no, don't bring Snom. And then, yeah, you might as well bring Snom. And then, no, I don't want to bring Snom. So it was one of those builds. So I was looking over the team like 5 minutes before we prepped, and I DM'd him. I was like, hey, I can run Taunt. And he was like, oh, I didn't see that. I know I got Taunt. Good find or whatever. So we swapped Roar for Taunt to 1v1 the Gligar. And then we got to open up Roar on Venusaur. So Mega Venusaur having Roar makes a lot more sense, seeing as we're kind of worried about setup Feeny. Seed Bomb, Sludge Bomb hits physically and specially. so that we could counterplay Calm Mind Feeney, Iron Defense Feeney, or dual setup Feeney, which was potentially a really big issue. We also live a +2 boosted Terrakion Zen Headbutt with Life Orb, and we do quite a bit of damage back. This is pretty much, although it can check setup Feeney, this is pretty much the Terrakion check. Terrakion's going to need to, or I'm going to need to trade Venu for Terrakion. Pretty much, I need to get lucky with Terrakion, basically. I either need to play really well so I don't have to trade, or I have to trade for it. So that is this thing's job. Starmie is Scarfed, Natural Cure, Ice Beam, Psychic, Dazzling Gleam, Flip Turn. Very basic set. It is a Scarf Revenge Killer for the top 3, as I mentioned before. D-Gleam is for the Guzzlord, which is a huge problem. I think it kills after 60% if it's max HP, or something relatively close to that effect. Ice Beam, Psychic, yeah, I said the names already. I'm an idiot. It's okay. But yeah, this is the prep. And as you'll notice, there is 0 hazard game. 0% hazard game. And the whole time I kept trying to squeeze on like hazards, but Prism was like, nah, you don't need them. Yeah, they screw hazards. They're not real moves anyway. And then I kept saying, no, but like they're good. And he's like, nah, people don't click it anyway. And I was like, okay, forget hazards. You know, it was one of those nights where it's just like someone says something and you just agree because it's funny. So we went no hazards, and I thought about it more as I thought about what he was saying. He's won the league, right? And he's never like actually cared about hazards in his life in this league. And I think the focus, and we talked about it after the game, the focus of so many Aegislash coaches, so many coaches in general, is clicking rocks in a format that is so delicately planned for a theme or a scheme to work. It kills so much momentum, and that's why people don't play around rocks. They don't prep around rocks. So I think going into this league further, I'm going to try to look to play around rocks a lot more, and then take into consideration that people don't play around hazards as much as they should. So yeah, that is the prep for this week. Let's go ahead and get into the battle. I'm going to once ahead switch the screens uglily, and drink water. So as you can see, these are the 6 that he brought: Mew, Gligar, Guzzlord, Bronzong, Terrakion, and Feeney. None of these are weird rings. The thing that I thought was crazy is that there is 1 no Beedrill, 2 no Thundurus. So on preview, I was kind of worried I lost. And the mindset going into this game, I've always kind of like preconceived myself to lose, if that makes sense. Like, I go in thinking I'm gonna lose. Like, there's a fine line between like humility and this like doubting yourself, like the same way that there's a fine line between confidence and being a jerk and being arrogant. And I always tended to be so afraid of being arrogant that I always just like said I was gonna lose, and I ended up believing it most of the time. So going into this game, I was typing in chat in the old SPTL chat that's been around since like season 3, and I was like, you know what, I can win this game. It's not unrealistic that I can win this game. So going into this game, I was like, all right, that's the mindset we're gonna have. And then he pulls up, and I was like, man, I over prepped for Beedrill and Thundy, I lose. And I was like, no, I don't lose. It's okay, we can do this. We can play around this unexpected turn of events. So looking at the lead matchup, we were here for like 7 minutes. The whole battle in totality took like an hour. It was pretty insane. Like an hour and 10, I believe it was. I can check actually right now. If you were there live, there was a bunch of people live. Prison, I think, did commentary. It was really cool. Scheduling, yeah, it took pretty much, yeah, exactly an hour about. So we were here for quite a bit, as I said, and there are 2 options for him. There are 2 options, really. There are 2 real options. Number 1 is lead Mew. Number 2 is lead Terrakion. So Terrakion applies instant pressure, and it gives him the pressure for rocks. As you can see, he has 4 rockers and 1 spike sitter and Mew. And this is another reason why bringing no hazards was objectively, or no removal was objectively bad. He has like 1, 2, 3 of like amazing rockers, and then Mew. You know, Mew's not even that good of a setter anyway. It's like whatever. It's not even good. So I'm spending quite a bit of time here, and it's either Mew or Terrakion. If Mew is the lead, I don't know what to do. I have no info on Mew, so I have no idea how to play around it, what to switch into. So I go ahead and just lead off with the Starmie on the Mew. I was really hoping Tarak would come, but the fact that Tarak doesn't lead lets me think that it's not Sash Rocks. It's probably some form of setup if it's not a choice item. And if it is a choice item, I'm not too worried about it because Venusaur has a much easier time walling choice Terrakion than it does setup Terrakion. So leading Mew is pretty good information for me. It's okay information for me. He swaps immediately into the Feeny, I think, just to scout, playing safe. Remember, we're looking for information more than anything. I decided to go into Venusaur and get my Mega up right away, seeing as I'll probably need to switch into Terrakion now that we're assuming it is set up. We're playing around the idea it's set up. Venusaur is led here. I click Sledge Bomb right away. I don't mess around. I'm thinking maybe Mew comes in here, tries to be cute, or something like that. Blows me up. But Bronzong comes in here pretty safe. Would have been sick if I doubled to Hoopa, but I go hard into Hoopa here, thinking that he might just Psychic and try to remove me. As we see later in prep, he is Twisted Spoon Bronzong that can 2-hit KO Venusaur, so good play by me unintentionally. Terrakion comes out here, and I'm expecting SD. I have nothing really to hit it with, so I go straight into Venusaur, and he does reveal SD. I'm also assuming Life Orb. He clicks Stone Edge, doesn't crit. Thankfully, I go ahead and fire off Seed Bomb, and it does not kill. I honestly almost switched to Power Whip here in prep right before. I thought, you know what? Power Whip kills after Life Orb damage. Like, I can just run Power Whip and not risk losing Venusaur. And then I was like, you know what? My track record is too bad that if I run Power Whip, I will lose. And we thought about this in prep too, and I will miss and I will lose and Terrakion will be full, and I just said I can't do that. So we ended up trading Venusaur for a little bit of health here. In retrospect, I could have gone Clefable and wished up, potentially preserve this thing, but Terrakion is going to go ahead and take Venusaur, and now I'm kind of sitting back right here, and it was looking bleak right off the matchup, not knowing what he has with such little info. It's not that playing this game necessarily was as hard as finding the info, which Max did a really good job of concealing at the beginning, not letting his Mew U-turn, not revealing anything of the sort, you know, none of that. It was really, really good by him to keep all that info hidden. Like, potentially I'm still worried about, you know, Scarf Mew, or I'm worried about Scarfed Feeny. You know, there's a lot of things I can worry about, but it's revealed leftovers already, so that's still potentially set up. But there's such a lack of information, and you know, he could just be holding Iron Head as well to predict the thing. So I sack Feeny and I sack Venusaur, and then Feeny comes in, and I start worrying because, you know, I've just gotten rid of my setup Feeny check. I can't Dragon Tail this out of the way. It's most likely it should be EV'd faster than my Hoop Unbound, so now I'm starting to regret letting Venusaur die. However, this is revealed leftovers. I flip turn out of here. Garchomp comes in. Garchomp isn't amazing, but if it's not Draining Kiss and it's stored power, then we have a little bit of counterplay. Seeing is we can potentially just go into. I'm not sure what I was thinking. But all I know is if this was set up, I probably lost, like, on the spot. He fires off Moonblast, which does an abysmal 28% to Garchomp, and I go ahead and click Earthquake, which does 3-hit KO. And this is really important damage for me. It reveals no physical defense. 0 physical defense, which, one, makes me believe he's not only speed invested, but speed timid to outspeed timid Hoopa Unbound. Because there's no reason you don't run max. There's no reason you bring Feeny, Gligar, and Bronzong and then have all of them be physically defensive for Garchomp. This is an offensive Feeny that is just bulky. Maybe it's not offensive Feeny, it's defensive Feeny that's fast, basically. That's great info for me. I stay in and click Earthquake again because I'm an idiot, right? I has 2 immunities. I'm like, Earthquake, go burr. I switch into Starmie here because it's the fastest thing, and I get chipped for 38%. And now, just so that we're clear, the mindset I'm in right now is I'm in trouble, right? Like, I'm almost slipping back into being just defeated beforehand. I even typed in chat in the SPADL chat, right as this was happening, I said, I'm pretty sure I just lose. Yeah, like right off of losing Venusaur. But we keep playing the game. I'm looking for ways to win, and it's not impossible because the way that I see it, there are 3 things that get rid of Hoopa. That is the Mew, the Terrakion, and the Feeny. Terrakion is almost dead. Feeny is heavily chipped. And the other 3 Hoopa can work around. So Guzzler comes in here. I switch in Panda. We're obviously just playing to feed Hoopa. We're not deviating from the plan. Just we're focused on feeding Hoopa. Panda comes in here and takes 0% from knockoff. I go ahead and double into Hoopa Unbound, predicting him to switch, but he clicks Protect here. This is a good play by Max, clicking Protect to scout. I go ahead and sub on the Protect, and then this is where we get a little bit more information. So this is not an offensive variant of Guzzlord, at least not too much. It is physically defensive. It's at least impish. It doesn't get that damage without being impish, so it is physically offensive, or it's defensive mon with no special attacks. It's not carrying random Draco Meteor, or else you wouldn't be running negative special or special attack nature. So Clefable comes in here because Clefable can pretty much take it handedly, and we get all that information off, which is good. Hoopa is a little weak, which is a problem. We go ahead and wish here, or no, we teleport. Yeah, okay, so cool. This is another thing. We're sticking to the game plan here. I thought about wishing, but it just seemed too risky, too many turns. So I just go ahead and hard teleport off the swap. This brings in Bronzong, so bringing Hoopa in here is really good, even though it's going to be a little weak if it manages to sub and everything again. So Hoopa comes in here. I believe we click sub again. I thought about making a 50-50 here, but he makes the mid ground to Terrakion, which is sub, and he goes ahead and removes sub, and then I go ahead and click just the dark move. There's no reason not to click the dark move, but that's justified. But or no, I click Ice Punch. So Hoopa is now down to 31%, but it takes its first kill, and this seems like it doesn't break anything, and it doesn't technically break. It doesn't break. It doesn't do what it was designed to do. But removing Terrakion is pretty huge, because now there's only 2 things that are faster than Hoopa, which is big. This is important. So now that Terrakion goes down, even though it was at 70%, I'm starting to feel like this is a bit more realistic. As long as we can remove these 2, or even we can work 2 ways. Winning works 2 ways. Either we remove the fast things, and we work on breaking the lower things, or we break the lower things and work on the fast things, which Garchomp can do. Garchomp can beat Feeny one-on-one right now with this set. So that's the plan. Either way, Hoopa still needs to come in and click buttons. Hoopa still needs to do that. Hoopa is the one that subs. It's the one that takes out Feeny. It's the one that takes out Mew. So Clef comes in here to take this, and I'm thinking, okay, well, he's not set up. He could be taunt here. So I go ahead and protect Scout the taunt or the Nature's Madness, whatever he wants to do, and he does indeed reveal taunt. So I'm thinking, okay, good thing I didn't decide to wish there or anything and lose all my momentum. He's slowly getting HP back with lefties, which I hate. So I go ahead and switch into Garchomp on another taunt, which is his best play. I think keeping Clefable as low as possible means that Koopa stays as low as possible. I've already revealed teleport, so assuming I have wish is obviously the reasonable play. I switch in as Gligar comes. And I go ahead and click wish right away as the Mew comes in. So this is pretty huge. So getting a wish off is big no matter what, because something gets to go back up to full health here. And the only thing that doesn't really need it right now is Panda. Even if Clefable is forced to take this wish, Clefable being at 100 is never bad. Clefable being at 100 is actually good because it lets me stick around for a bit longer. Now this Mew, I don't really know the stat of this Mew. It's revealed nothing, so I'm really worried about it. I go ahead and I believe I click teleport, and my reasoning is, okay, he goes into Bronzong, I go into Hoopa, Hoopa gets healed, he sets up, I go into Garchomp, Garchomp gets healed, and I can click Dragon Tail. So we go ahead and click teleport on the Bronzong, and then I'm like, okay, free. Hoopa Unbound comes in, Hoopa gets the heal up. Now I'm at 87%. And Hoopa gets to click buttons again. I go ahead and sub up. No reason for me not to sub here. I sub up here, and then I start praying, because this is exactly what we need, right? We need these faster things to die so that Sukuna can come in and start cleaning. So, and we already know this is zero physical. This is zero physical defense, so it cannot live a gunk shot. I start praying. He breaks my sub because he's obviously EV'd to be faster than timid Hoopa, and then we fire off gunk shot and we hit the gunk shot. So that is huge. This is huge. So now the game is looking all of a sudden not only winnable, but we're in a pretty good position. Seeing as the Guzzlord is chipped down to 2 Ice Punch range, Gligar is in 2 Ice Punch range, Bronzong is in 1 Dark Move, Hyperspace Fury, and now there is 0 Hyperspace Fury switch-ins. Guzzlord can switch in, but it will die to Hyperspace Fury plus Ice Punch, I'm pretty sure. Or it gets super, super close. So I'm pretty happy about that. Hoopa's at 50, which isn't great, but not bad at all. Mew comes in here. I'm too worried about U-turn or any physical move at all. So I go ahead and go into Garchomp and get my little bit of chip, which is solid. Garchomp is no longer doing too much as Feeny is gone and no longer has anything to 1v1. 2 Mons are immune to Garchomp, and Guzzlord, the only thing it's good for is clicking Outrage as a self-destruct button. So I switch into Beware here, which can 1v1 Gligar. And he keeps just U-turning. So U-turns goes into Mew. I can't risk getting Psychic here. Beware is still important to 1v1 Gligar, especially considering it has Taunt. And then he keeps clicking U-turn, which I didn't think of much at the time. He's just clicking U-turn, obviously, to not lose momentum, which is like a fine play by him. So he just keeps spamming U-turn. I'm letting Chomp get chipped, which doesn't super matter. And then Bronzong comes in as I Dragon Tail. So, sorry, I need water. So Gligar comes in here and just U-turns on the Clefable. Now, Clefable brings in Bronzong, right? We've talked about this encounter. So Bronzong comes in here, and there are a few things I'm worried about. Number 1, I'm worried about rocks. 2, I'm worried about rocks just because switching in continuously is really, really not looking good at this point of the game. We're already pretty chipped down low. Clefable has a lot of pressure on it, even though it is faster, even though it pretty much gets a free wish on Gligar and Guzzlord. Potentially, if Guzzlord does not have Gunk Shot, then we're in a pretty solid position. But the good decision for me here is I think it could be Iron Defense. It could be, there could be a lot of things it could be. I go to click Protect, and I accidentally click Wish, which is right next to Protect, and he Heavy Slams. So now you can imagine, now I'm devastated. Now it's like, there's no way. I think I type in the chat again. Yeah, I type in the chat. I literally can't believe. Oh yeah, Misclick loses the game. Literally can't believe I threw that. So I even say in the chat, GG's, because I'm pretty sure the game is just over. However, there is still that wish up in the air, so I go into Hoopa, which forces Bronzong out. Hoopa is going to go up to 100% after I'm Hyperspace Fury. Remember, there's no Hyperspace Fury switch-in. So I go ahead and just take Bronzong off the field, and Sukuna claims its 3rd kill of the match as it goes back up to practically full. And this is pretty huge health here. Mew comes in here, and I say, all right, well, I can't stay at he's revealed the U-turn already. I go into Beware on the U-turn, potentially, just on the U-turn, predicting U-turn. Since this thing matches up well against Gligar and Guzzlord, if he switches back into Mew on the Ice Punch, I potentially freeze. I'm playing around everything I can. Ice Punch comes out, and here I'm not faster than it, which is what I was Eevee. He has a little bit of speed in him, so I decided to taunt right away and not let him play around with that. And he's forced out. And this exchange, it wins me the game, and you'll see why. I spoiled that I win, but I win the game off that exchange. Mew comes in here and gets chipped. All this chip on Mew, I'm ecstatic about, because I don't know. He clicks U-turn again. I'm assuming he's got some sort of recovery move. The music stopped. I'm really sorry about that. Let me return back. I'm assuming that this Mew has healing. And Garchomp can 2-hit KO with Outrage, potentially. I'm looking at the spread, looking at the damage that's been done. If it's not max HP Mew, Garchomp can 2-hit KO with Outrage, which means it really gets 50% off on it, since Mew should be able to kill back. So I'm just going to go ahead and start clicking things. I click Taunt, predicting the Gligar to come back in, which means it can't heal. I fire off another Ice Punch, and now I force him to make a decision, which Gligar is dead either way. So U-turn comes in here, and it forces in Mew or Guzzlord. I take this chip, which puts it in range of Outrage, which is huge. I'm ecstatic for this. And then he Ice Beams. So I'm expecting him to heal here, so I go ahead and taunt just to stop the heal. And then we see Ice Beam on the Beware, and I'm thinking, and I believe I said right after this, he's choiced. He's choiced. And here's what made me calc it. Because I hadn't calced any of the U-turns, but seeing him Ice Beam Beware, there's no reason to Ice Beam. There isn't a reason to Ice Beam, as if you're not, unless you're choiced. So that was weird. That just was weird. So I calc it, and I look at U-turn damage, and U-turn does, OGU's U-turn, Panda does 3%. There was also another one. I looked back at all of them, so 2%. I looked back at literally all the U-turn damages, and I did the calcs, and this is modest. Modest is 0 attack, which means a couple things. Number one, Hoopa will live any one attack from this range. If you look at the calc, with modest, negative attack nature, and 0 attack EVs, Hoopa at 98% lives. Like, just straight up will live 1, which is massive. So I start playing around that. As soon as this goes down, and it's like he's Ice Beam, and so I was like, what? So I go into Hoopa Unbound, really committed that this is choice scarfed. Also, this is also not a this is the safest place, since I will live a U-turn. Something is dying here. Like, something is dying. This Mew can't take Ice Punch, so it can't switch into Ice Punch after Guzzlord comes in if it wants to take the Hyperspace Fury. So I even wrote in chat, I'm so confused by the calcs right now, because I was trying to figure out like what the set was. It's just modest, choiced Mew with, yeah, it's just modest choice Mew with U-turn. Gligar comes in here and will die to Hyperspace Fury. Being now -2 defense, his only play is to go into Mew and click U-turn again. At 88%, there is a 31% chance I live. 31% chance I live without the boost. So obviously I have to switch out to reset the boost drop. Then there's a 31% chance I live this. 31.7% chance I live this. I go into Chomp, expecting U-turn to get a little bit more chip, because now that I believe this is choiced, there is no healing. So any chip on this is important for Starmie's sweep. Starmie is now the end game, right? Starmie is carrying Dazzling Gleam, which will kill from this range. It's also carrying Ice Beam, so after a little bit of more damage, Guzzlord and Mew is planning to swept by Ice Beam. Guzzlord comes in here, and I click the nuke button. I click Outrage on his Protect, which doesn't matter. This Protect doesn't matter. If he switches to Mew, he dies. If he stays in, he gets chunked for 50. So I just reveal that I have a self-destruct button. This was a really, really tight endgame. So Outrage comes out here, and if the Gligar, I cannot stress this enough, if the Gligar is healed in this position, I lost, right? It's impossible to win, because he can 1v1 me. I have nothing to beat the Gligar anymore. So goes down. Guzzlord gets the Beast Boost, but it doesn't matter. I send in Starmie, and I click Ice Beam. He protects for HP, but Ice Beam was doing like 40%, I believe. I looked at the calc. So Ice Beam is going to take out this Guzzlord. And now I start to get extremely, extremely worried. So if this is Scarfed, I'm faster. I outspeed Scarfed. If it specs Shadow Ball, there's a potential for some problems. But either way, crit into not living, not getting the 31% chance, will lose me the game. I have to get crit here by U-turn, and then I have to not live the 31% chance to live on Hoopa Unbound. So I'm really nervous. I spent like, I think it was like, I was just like, but there's nothing I can do, right? There's no counterplay to that at this point in the game. So I click Ice Beam. I outspeed because we are both scarfed. He reveals not specs, and he clicks U-turn, which I live comfortably. I calced this way beforehand once I realized it was choiced, and I click Ice Beam again and win the game. So whew, big game. GG's to Max. Yeah, it had to be not choiced. Mew won me the game, because if it was healing, I would have cried because I had no counterplay to that. But really great game, and it's not a bad bring at all. Just so we're clear, it's a good bring for a few reasons. Mainly being Scarfupa, right? Bottom text. It was a problem. Scarfupa is a problem. Having bulky U-turn is really good. So it's a good bring. Max prepped really well. Max played really well. There's nothing but GGs this game. Overall, amazing week 1 for both of us. Even though he ended up losing, it was incredibly close. But yeah, that is going to be all I have time for today. Goodbye. God bless and have a great day. Go ahead and check Max out in the description. His stuff will be there. He just posted his draft analysis for this season. But yeah, big GGs to Max. Yeah, goodbye. God bless and have a great day.